Education is not a privilege, and every child should benefit from it. Like all children, children with disabilities have ambitions and dreams for their future. Like all children, they need quality education to develop their skills and realize their full potential. Disability is one of the most serious barriers to education across the globe. It isn't just the lack of infrastructure, it is also the lack of teachers trained to work with disabilities and a sensitized ecosystem that treats children with disabilities as equals and not objects of pity or derision to be left out of every activity. Samarth By Hyundai engaged with more than 50,000 young students to sensitize our youngest citizens from an early age. And what happened in those interactions? To tell us more, today we are joined by Dr. Ruchi Seth, Director Principal, Lotus Valley International School, Noida, Ms. Mari Shanti Priya, Principal, Vista International School, Hyderabad. We also have with us Dr. Uma Tulli, Founder, Amarjyoti Charitable Trust, Padma Shri Awardee, Professor Veera Gupta, former Secretary, CBSE, and we have with us Dr. Bhavna Taragi, Deputy Head of Research, Development and Consultancy Division, CISCE. Thank you all so much for joining us, and it's a pleasure to have you today, on this initiative. To begin with, Dr. Ruchi, I would like to start with you. Tell us about, the initiative, which, what Samarth did. Tell us the impact there, how much of awareness was really brought into the children with the initiative.
So, Ambika, our school is already very sensitive to the needs of all the students, and we have a motto which we like to, oft repeat. It's called every star shines differently. So every student actually for us is unique, whether they have an ability, a special ability, or, and there's a lot of sensitization that we've already done in the last few years. So when Samarth came to us, we were delighted. And we had our students of class 6 and 7, because I believe that if you want to make an attitudinal change, you have to do it as early as possible and when it makes sense to them. So it was quite amazing at the way they responded to the question answers that went on. And I'd like to say that the Honorable Minister for Social Justice who was here, and he said to Mr. Malhotra, he said, ये याद रखना कि आप बाकी अपने सहपाठियों को भी प्रोत्साहित करते हैं. But this class 6 child, he said, they should remember, and when he said they, it meant the heroes on the stage who had come through Samarth. They should remember that they are not only, their skill and determination is not only helping them achieve their own goals, but they are helping everybody in the world to achieve their goals.
Absolutely.
What a wonderful statement by a class 6 student.
Yes.
That's as far as we've been able to sensitize not just children, not just teachers, but we have a whole school approach. The nannies, the guards, the students, the teachers, the parents, everybody is sensitized in the school.
Which is really, really critical. If I can come to you, Ms. Shanti Priya, tell us about, the Samarth By Hyundai workshop. What impact did you see or have you seen in your school post the workshop?
Actually, we are also an inclusive school. We do have children with different learning disabilities, both physical as well as learning. So when Samarth team was there, in fact, as ma'am said, it's ideal to start with the young age, because the kind of impact what we give them is going to be more memorable and for a longer innings. So we have asked the grade 5 students to be there, to be part of it, to motivate the Paralympic participant who has come to the school. The children were so enthusiastic looking at them, and they made a statement saying that though we are all fit, we all always keep cribbing about everything. But there are people who are deprived of so many things, yet the kind of motive they have, the kind of enthusiasm, the zeal they have to achieve in life, that is something which is very, very memorable and touching for them. And they felt that they have to have more students of such kind of disability to be part of the school, so that they can help or at least be part of their journey in their life.
I think that's really well put and extremely critical for every child. And like you said, to be sensitized. Dr. Tully, I wanted to, come to you here. You've been doing this really since 1981. You've helped nurture the dreams of so many children. What innovative methods or programs has Amar Jyoti been using in the last 4 decades to enhance education and support children? And most importantly, I think the holistic approach that you use. If you can please take us to that.
Right. We all know that education is the tool to bring any change.
Yeah.
And to bring this kind of change, we need a holistic approach. In Amar Jyoti, we have every facility in the campus, like medical care. Inclusive education, of course, is the prime thing. But to make it implementable, we have skill training, we have capacity building courses in physiotherapy, in teachers training in special education, NIOS, IGNU, and we also have inclusive sports and cultural activities. That is what has made it possible. And the thing really that worked for us is the convergence of resources involving government, community, having CBR, community-based rehabilitation program, reaching out to the philanthropic donors, liaison with our institutions, and this kind of convergence has really made it possible. Looking for volunteers all the time and looking for funds. I'm a professional beggar.
I think collaboration, convergence, like you rightly said, is very critical. And it really brings an impact. Professor Veera, if I could come to you here, you brought up a child with a specific learning disorder. If you could just take us through your journey, how it has helped you in the field of education as well.
Thank you, Ambika. Certainly, when I had my daughter and I recognized that she is dyslexic, and that too early 2000, so that time it was neither in academic documents nor in policy documents that dyslexia was recognized as a disorder or disability. RPWD came in 16. By the time she had already enrolled in medical college. So if you see her KG certificate, school performance record, and today she is a public health professional in Johns Hopkins.
Oh, wow.
So the journey of my child from KG, when SLD is recognized only when the child goes to school. Prior to that, it is a very bright, naughty, intelligent child. Only in the school, the child becomes poor performer. So the entire history I have written in an article that is published also, and it is very educative, motivating, and learning for all the parents, because dyslexia is a hidden condition. Maybe many of us could be dyslexic, but we don't know. But it is the advocacy group and many people who have worked towards this condition and brought it in RPWD Act that today we recognize it as one of the condition. But it took us a lot of time to write a policy how it should be identified and certified. It was as late as 2020 when High Court gave a judgment that how it should be diagnosed and certified. And now these children are getting some reservation and those facilities. So, but it is there, and these children are generally with emotional and all other depression or anxiety problems because their condition is not recognized.
Yes.
And people are not able to give that kind of a support. And this population is maximum in number. So these are 20% in any population out of the disability. But we have identified only 1% as per UDICE data. And in our colleges, even I am a professor in Jamia, there is none enrolled with SLD identified child. So we still have in higher education orthopedic and blind who are coming. but other hidden disabilities are not really reaching higher education.
So I think hidden disabilities is something which is extremely critical, and I'm just going to, repeat the lines what the Honorable Minister said. Every student can learn, just not in the same day or in the same way. So for that, I would like to come to you here, Dr. Bhavna. Could you give us an overview or tell us about how the board is implementing, its comprehensive guidelines to support students with diverse needs, especially when we're looking at concessions, like Professor Veera also just said. How does it help the students here?
Yeah, thank you, Ambika. So the CISE board, the philosophy of the board is that schools are for all, and the responsibility of making them accessible and giving them engaged learning environments to all children lies with the board. It lies with the affiliated schools. The board supports the children with diverse needs through a comprehensive policy where we are not just offering support measures to children who are having benchmark disabilities. The board has gone ahead and is offering the same concessions and benefits to children who are at the borderline of disabilities also. So I think the borderline intellectual functioning and children who are not meeting the benchmark of 40% yet are lagging behind in their learning trajectories because of certain disabilities or conditions, the board is offering them ample support. Another landmark decision of the board was pertaining to providing support to students who are having sensory processing disorders. We are allowing students we are facilitating them, the students on the autism spectrum, the Asperger's syndrome children, to visit the examination center a day or two prior to be able to familiarize with the environment. We are also facilitating building rapport with the adult prompters, with the readers, the scripters. We are doing that. Also, we are allowing them to wear their earphones, use the assistive devices that they usually have been learning with during their school time. So I think the board is looking at supporting all students. Wonderful results we have observed.
Yes.
We are delighted with the kind of performance shown by our children with special needs in our board examinations. And we hope to continue doing much more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because there is a lot, but we're talking about solutions. We know inclusive education is critical, but we also know, Dr. Ruchi, that there are gaps. What can we do, or what more can be done to create greater access here?
So I think it's very important that the leadership team, the management, the principal, the key leaders should desire that they make a change, and this should translate into action. What I see through my experience is that there's a big gap between the rural and the urban. As you go into the interiors of the country, the gap begins to show very rapidly. And it's not just the infrastructure. There are schools where we have insisted, we have as members of the inspection committee, we've gone and we've said, you don't have a ramp or something. We're giving you this much time, so please make the necessary infrastructure. That is easy to convert. But what is difficult is the mindset and the attitude to make resources available, train teachers to cater to the needs, the special needs of people with special needs.
Just taking from what you said, mindsets and attitudes, parents here play a very critical role.
Yes.
I would like to ask you here, Ms. Shanti Priya, how can we make parents understand, or they have, they have a resistance that their children could have a learning disability?
Again, coming to our country, I feel it's still a taboo to know that your child is disabled. So, it's not just the parents, because the way people look at them, that makes the difference. It's the attitude and the approach of the society at large. So when the children danced over here at this platform, I felt that we have given them a hope, a faith. There is a very big community out there which is ready to, willing to accept them, to make them part of their life. So which is very important for us to make parents who have got these children with learning disabilities to feel that we are there to help them. not to make them feel that they have given birth to a child who's going to be dependent on them for the rest of their life, not just on them, also on the society. So that's where we have to, kind of reach out to the parents. Maybe programs like Samarth, organizations like NDTV, organizations like Hyundai can come up and organize events and shows at a larger scale,
Yes.
which can talk to parents and sensitize them that it is okay to have a child like that. There is a larger group which can accept them and support them. If something like that
Absolutely.
can be done, I think that would be great.
Absolutely. Professor Veera, you work closely on policy making. Do our boards have system in place for identification, diagnosis, certification, as well as intervention of students with specific learning disability?
See, specific learning disability is a group of 5 conditions. Dyslexia, reading problems; dysgraphia, writing problems; dyspraxia, balance problem; ADHD, and dyscalculia. So maybe we see that in our education system, there are people who can read, write well, but when it comes to maths, they fear. Or there are some people who can read, but their writing is very, very poor. So since these 5 conditions can vary within a child and also among the children, so identification is very difficult. Prior to RPWD and after Nimhan's battery, it was a school assessment only.
Yes.
What they write, which we call curriculum-based assessment. And we had SNDT University's Smriti Swaroop, who had given one checklist. Today we have very nice checklist which is called Prashast, prepared by NCERT, which is a very good tool in the hands of all the
Absolutely.
teachers.
In fact, we've spoken about so many things and we're running out of time. I just want to talk about mental health. I think that's a very critical issue. And before I come for the last question to you, Dr. Tuli, Dr. Bhavna, tell us about the mental health issues. We've seen post-COVID, a lot of children are dealing with depression, stress. What initiatives is the board implementing or trying to do to support children so that they can handle their mental well-being or improve their mental well-being at this point?
Yes, Ambika, definitely we've seen a surge in the diagnosis of depression and anxiety amongst children in the schools now. So the board can create policies, but actually what happens and how the children are supported depends on what happens inside the classroom. Inside the classroom, it is the teacher who is the academic leader of the class, and the teacher needs to be empowered to first diagnose that there is a problem, to be able to scan, to be able to screen, and then to be able to give the mental first aid, the psychological first aid that is required. The board has taken very concrete steps, a lot of them regarding teacher training, where we've tied up with Samvad Nimhans Bangalore to train our counselors and teachers to identify what are the first signs of a mental concern, a psychological concern. We've created master trainers through the short-term training program who've gone ahead and done trainings in the schools. Also, we're doing a kind of a monitoring and evaluation where we seek reports from the school as to what are the kind of cases that they are finding and how we can support. Even in the support measures that we have extended, mental illnesses are being covered as per the RPWD Act. And special concessions are granted with adult prompters for children who are having psychological disorders as well. Apart from that, we are also conducting several online webinars to sensitize early detection.
Yes.
Early detection is the key. And then providing them the right kind of support measures. For example, ma'am spoke about the Prashast, the screening checklist. Similarly, there is an early identification checklist built by the MOE, which is on the website of MOE for screening of mental health disorders.
Yes.
And that particular screening checklist, it's a very, very strong tool. We have distributed it amongst the school and we are conducting trainings for them to use that checklist given by the government.
Because it's extremely important to look at the mental well-being of our children, clearly, because they're the future. Last question to you, Dr. Tully. We've spoken about education, right? But when we look at the workforce, when we look at when they're going forward, in your experience, what are the most critical skills that persons with disabilities need to thrive in their workplace, and how can organizations better support their development?
Well, as far as skill training is concerned, I think first and foremost thing is to bring in self-esteem and confidence, have accessible environment, have acceptance Now, of course, we are from negation to acceptance, but thinking of persons with disabilities, we should not underestimate their skill. They can do everything and anything on this earth. We try to think of skills which are having the potential of job or self-employment.
Yes.
So we should tie up with the employers, what is their need and how they can train in advance so that employment becomes easier for persons with disability. Most of the time, we forget that Ministry of Social Welfare and Empowerment has already published more than 3,000 jobs for persons with disability and diverse disability,
Yes.
And those jobs can be kept in mind. And many a times we forget that they are persons first. So our attitude is what matters. Our acceptance is what matters. Giving them equal opportunity and full participation is what brings in positive results.
Absolutely. Opportunity, full participation, sensitization. Thank you so much. We've learned so much from all of you. It's really a pleasure to have you here with us on Samarth By Hyundai. Thank you so much.